Hey guys, Bitmaster here, coming back at you today with another video. I promised you guys I would go ahead and do a NetCom7 socket tutorial, so here you go. This is going to be it. So essentially what we're going to do here, what I've already done for you is I've created two projects, a server and a client, and that's all I've done. I haven't done any programming. All I did was change the caption of the forums to server and client. That's all I've done. And you guys can pause the video, catch up real quick, make two projects or whatever, and then we can proceed. So basically what we're going to do first off is, since this is for a vid, I'm going to go ahead and apply a theme so we're not just looking at some blank crap here. Let's go to Project, Options, and once this comes up on screen, we're going to click on Appearance, and then we're going to go down and pick us a theme. I'm just going to do Windows 11 Impressive Dark, and click Save. And then I'm going to save my project and go back over to Client and do the same thing. Project, Options, wait for the window to come up, and then choose Appearance, and then choose whatever theme you want. In my case, we're using Windows 11 Impressive Dark. Just keep it the same for both of them. All right, and then save. Okay, so at this point, we're going to need to go ahead and start designing our program. So let's start with the client first. Let's grab ourselves a button control VCL component and slap it on the form. So there we have a button, and the button, we're just going to label it connect, okay? And I'm going to make this kind of a little bit wider here. Pull this up, make it kind of match with the button there a little bit better. Make the button come at least to about right there, and maybe a little bit further on this side. Make sure the form lines up okay. That's decent enough. Okay, now let's grab ourselves an edit box component and clear it out. Then we're going to make sure that's just about as long. Pull this up, drag both of these up to the top, and then try to get that as close as we can together. Okay, great. Save the project. Grab ourselves a client source. So in the NetCom7 tab, you'll want to look for the client source component, the NC client source component. I'm going to rename this component, if you will, just to have a good name for it instead of a big long one like NC client source 1. I'm going to call it client socket. And then we're going to connect that. So whenever we do this stuff, when we click the button, we want it to connect. So connect our client to our remote server. Self.clientsocket.host is equal to localhost, which is our host, or you can type 127.0.0.1 for a loopback IP if you want. Or if you're running the server on a remote host that has been port forwarded properly, you can choose whatever global IP you would like to put in there. Self.clientsocket.port will be equivalent to 3434. Same thing we use for all of our other tutorials. Self.clientsocket.active is true. That will connect it, and that will be it. So I'm actually going to put this in a try statement, though, because you never know if it will work or if it won't. So that's just in case it doesn't connect, we can always just re-click the button. And whenever the client socket is able to make an active connection, like it succeeds, we're going to say self.edit1.enabled is equal to false, self.button1.enabled is equal to false, self.button1.caption is equal to connected. There you have it, and then that should be that. So we're going to take all of these, and we're going to go to the disconnected. So if the socket gets disconnected from the client, or from the server, whatever, then we're going to reverse this process. We're going to re-enable all of our stuff, and then we're going to say connect, or whatever on there, without the exclamation mark, or whatever. There you have it. Okay, great. So then whenever information like data comes into the socket from the server, we need to handle the command. To do this, we're just going to do self.caption is going to be equivalent to string of the byte data that we receive. Done. Problem solved. The client is fully programmed and finished. Now we can go work on the server. On the server side project, what we're going to do is grab us a status. So we're going to grab a status bar. We're going to put 2 panels on it. We're going to make those panels a width of at least 150. That way we have plenty of room to work with. And we're going to set the text property of the 0 status panel to status, offline. And then we're going to set this one to clients, online, 0, because no one's online right now. All right, and then we're going to create a list view, if I can spell correctly. And we're going to throw that down and create a couple of columns on it. So if you guys didn't catch that, just resize this the way you need and make sure it lines up nice and tidy with what you're doing. And then right-click on it and go to Columns Editor. It's going to give you this little boxy thing. You can put 2 things in there by clicking the New button 2 times. I'm going to auto-size these, and I'm going to set the first one, caption, to IP address, and the second to nickname. And then I'm going to set the view style of this component to report, so that now we can see both of these things in there. Now I'm going to grab a pop-up menu, and I'm going to slap it down on there, and I'm going to double-click it and start editing the menu. In the caption of this menu item, I'm going to put send to all, and then on this bottom one here, I'm going to say send to selected. That's it. Now we're going to attach that pop-up menu to the list view component. So make sure to select the list view component, come down until you see the P's for pop-up menu. Make sure to click the down combo arrow on the combo box and select pop-up menu 1. Now the pop-up menu 1 is attached to the list view component. So now what we'll do is come in here and type server source. So we're looking for the NetCom7 tab, and we're going to grab ourselves a TNC server source, drag and drop it down to the form. I'm going to rename this to ServerSocket. So now we have a ServerSocket and a pop-up menu. I'm going to hit save, clear that out in case we need other things. And we're ready to roll, guys. So basically the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to try to work from top to bottom here. So essentially the first thing we're going to need to do is go into our code window, go to the very top, and you're in the types area right here where you've got your types and declarations for your variables. So I'm going to go above the type that's generally there by default, and we're going to make us a new type, and this is going to be a class. That is, if I can type correctly. Get it? All right, we're going to create a class type here. So we're going to create a type of class. I want it to be called connected user data. We'll just put like that, okay? Equals a class, like I said. And then we're going to have 2 pieces of information inside of this class. The first is a line, which is a TNC line. For those of you who don't know what we're doing with this this thing right here, this is a type that's declared in the library that runs the ServerSocket stuff, that runs the NetCom7 sockets. So it's just giving us the ability to more or less lock a user to this line so that we can talk just to them. And we'll talk more about that later on. But for now, we're going to do nickname as a string. So we're going to be able to attach their line to our class, and we're also going to be able to store their nickname in a list. And this is going to be really, really cool stuff. So now what we need to do is create a couple of private declarations or variables. So what we'll do is we'll do connected clients, and that will be an integer. This is going to be how many clients are online. So that keeps up with how many people are online. Okay. The next one is going to be connected users. And we're going to make this a string list. So it is a t-string list. It's just a list of strings. So example, Bobby, Jimmy, Laura, whatever. It could be just a list of strings, right? And now what we'll do is, I think essentially we've pretty much got all of our declarations figured out here, guys. So at this point, we want to go ahead and activate the server. So let's go ahead and do that. We do need to create some stuff in memory. So when the program loads, the form gets created, right? So down here on Create Event, double click here to go to the code window. So we're going to go ahead and do a few things inside of the onForm Create Event procedure. So in order to do this, just go right where it takes you, right between the begin and the end here. And we're going to do connected users is equivalent to creating a tstring list. So tstring list.create. Then we're going to need connected clients set to 0 to start with, because no one's connected when it first runs, right? Then we're going to say self.serversocket.port is equivalent to what? 3434, because that's what we did on the client. Remember how we did that when we did connect? Because the client's going to connect to our local host on port 3434. So on our server, we need it listening on port 3434. Now, what we're going to do is say self.serversocket.active is true. So it starts listening, start listening for client connections. There you have it. So now that we're listening, we also want to update, and here I'll show you this, we want to update this panel down here because it says offline. So we want that to say status online. So self.statusbar1.panels0, panels 0.text is equivalent to status online. And that's pretty much that. So let me give this just a quick run. We're also going to do one thing real quick. Select the form and go over to Properties and go down to Position. Make sure to put this in the screen center position when it runs and save your project. Also do the same with the client while we're at it, just so we don't have to drag it all over the place when we run it. So Position, put it to the screen center and save your project. Going back to the server now. So we've set up everything as far as we need. Now we're going to have to start handling different things for whenever, for example, when the client socket connects in and stuff. So go to the server socket, go to events, go to on handle command. We're not going to do unconnected right now. We're not going to do anything with that. We might do something with it here in a minute, but whenever we get to it. So on client handle command. So whenever the client connects, remember how we programmed the client? Like we said, go ahead and try to connect in, and then oh, we forgot a part. Sorry about that, guys. Once the client has connected in, what you got to do is you got to go to event on connected, and then you also need to send connection command to let the server know we are connected. Blah blah blah. Okay, so self.clientSocket. And I think these sockets actually use an execute command function. So I think it's something like .exec command. Yeah, there we go. Exec command, and it's asking for some parameters. So the first parameter will be command integer 0. The data, which is bytes of whatever we're going to send, which is newcon and our pipe. And then self.edit1.text for our nickname, and then boom. And then I think this part is just false because we don't want an async result. And we have to add a plus here. Okay, so again, guys, when the client connects, you go ahead and do all your graphical stuff, but then you need to send this little command line here that says, hey, new connection made, okay? And your nickname. So we're sending newcon and our nickname. So now, back on the server side of things, I'm going to focus on creating a string list to be able to handle this type of stuff. So on the server, and just so you guys aren't going to get confused, make sure we do this. You click on the server socket, you go to on handle command, and you double click, and it takes you right to where you need to be. Now add a var here because we're going to have to add some declarations, some variable types. We're going to put data received as a string, and then we're going to put user data, which is going to be an equivalency of our class record type up here, our t-connected user data. So we're going to create user data is going to be t-connected user data. And then we're going to do SL, which is a T-string list. And then we're going to do LI, which is a T-list item. And then underneath, we're going to start programming. So we're going to do data received is equal to a string of a data, which if you guys are curious about the whole a data thing, when you double click it and select it, you see how it highlights up here? It means this procedure, this function here, already has like a bunch of stuff inside of itself that it deals with. A data is just the bytes of data that we received across the socket connection, okay? And a line is the current line or connection making all of this happen. So down in the code, we're going to get our received data, and then we are going to create a string list. And then underneath this, I'm going to Control D that so it looks a little bit more pretty for you guys. So underneath this one, we're going to do SL dot, I'll tell you what, let's just do a try statement here. And we'll just leave the finally because I think we may actually go ahead and use that later. So in the try statement, we're going to try to set the delimiter and the strict delimiter. We're going to delimit via pipe. Strict delimiter is set to true. And then we're going to do SL.delimited text, which is going to be equivalent to, you guessed it, data received. And now what we can do, since we have set up our delimiter and we're strictly delimiting it to that delimiter, and we have our delimited text, which is whatever data we received, we can begin doing stuff in here. So we're going to say if the SL.count is less than, or is greater than, 0, that means there's actually something in there that the socket actually got, then we're going to begin and end here. So we're going to say if SL0 is equivalent to new con, which means there's somebody new, we're going to begin and end inside of this. So what we'll do is user data is going to be equivalent to T connected user data dot create. So now we're going to say the user data dot line is equal to a line. And if you double click this, if you're confused, we're talking about attaching it to the person that's currently talking with the socket. Get that? Kind of connect that together, guys? So now that we have access to their line property and we've shoved it into our class, we're going to shove in their nickname as well. So you'll say user data dot nickname is equivalent to SL1, whatever data they sent over the socket and property SL1. So that's that. And then we're going to say connected users dot add object. Now remember, this is our connected users list. So if you see how we're creating that on form create, so it's in memory for us to play with whenever we like. That's why we added a T-string list on form create, so we could keep people in that list. We're adding an object to that list now because someone just connected in, okay? So we're going to do SL1. So that's the person's name, okay? And we're also going to stuff in their user data structure. It's our class structure. So not only are we shoving in their nickname, we're shoving in the entirety of the user data thing, which is their nickname plus their line plus that. So it's these two things, but we can look them up via their nickname in the string list. You get it? Okay. So now that we've added them, we have to create a list item. So list item is going to be equal to self.listview1.items.add. And li.caption is going to be a line.peerIP, which is their IP address, and then subitems.add, and that's going to be equal to SL1, which is their nickname, okay? So there you have it. That's pretty much it for adding a person. So now we come down to finally, make sure to free the memory of our list, of our string list, because every time someone sends something, we don't want to keep building that up in RAM. It would be bad. So we're going to free that. It's a perfect code. So there you have it. Now when someone connects in, we should be able to get them. Now the issue remains of what about when the person disconnects? So let's do that next. So on the disconnected event procedure, this is when someone disconnects. So here, let me just give this a run for you guys so you can clearly see what's happening, okay? So when I run the code, and we have this here, I'm gonna run the client too. So let me run the client, allow this through my firewall. So here's the client and here's the server. Now look, I'm gonna put in Billy, and I'm gonna connect in Billy. Now you see how Billy's connected, but like whenever I close Billy, nothing happens. You see that? Nothing happens at all. So that's not a good thing. That's because we haven't written it yet. So on the client, on the server side, we have to write in the event for the socket's disconnect event procedure. So when the person disconnects, we're going to write some code here. So on the disconnect event procedure, we're going to have to create some variables. So let's create some variables, starting with I as an integer for looping, localized looping, and then user data, which is also going to be a derived type from our class, T connected user data. And then we're going to have the client ID, which is a string. This could honestly just be the nickname. Let's just change this up a bit. This is nickname as a string, okay? So pretend that a client has just disconnected from the server. It creates an integer for localized looping. It creates our user data class pointer, more or less, and then it creates a nickname as a string. So now it comes down in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, let's just set the nickname equal to nothing, even though that's kind of unnecessary, but whatever. Let's just say there's no nickname. We don't know who we're looking at, right? So we're going to do for I is equal to, and we're going to go and correct this. So for I is equal to connected users.count minus 1 down to 0 do begin. So user data will be equivalent to T connected user data, connected users dot objects I index. And now that we've set the user data equal to the person that we're looping over, we need to dig into this person and find out if it's truly the person we're trying to get rid of. If user data dot line is equivalent to a line, which is the current person that's messing with us, then we know it's them, okay? So we're going to come down, make this, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into this. So we're going to say client ID, let's do nickname, is going to be equivalent to user data dot nickname. Then we're going to say user data dot free from memory. We're going to get rid of them. Then we're going to go ahead and say connected users dot delete the I index of the person we just looped over. So we're getting rid of them out of our globalized handler that we created on our form create that holds all their names. We're getting rid of that. We're getting them out of there, okay? So then we have to break out of this loop because it's no longer necessary. So now we'll have to come down a little bit further. So once we've broken out of this loop, let's go ahead and see what we've got so far. Nickname, blah, blah, blah. Looks all good. I would probably bring these up here, and then we're still going to continue coding. So we're still inside of the main procedure, but we're out of that loop. So now we're going to have to, now that we've removed them from our virtualized list, we're going to have to remove them from the list view. So let me make a little comment here. Remove client from virtual lists, and then sorry if I misspell, guys. I'm just whatever. Remove client from our list view GUI component. So now we will say for I is equal to and I'm going to put self.listview1.items.count -1 do begin, and then I'm going to put if the self.list list items the current person that we're looping over dot sub items 0 is equivalent to our client ID that we just got through removing a bit ago. Oh, sorry guys, I'm using nickname. So then we'll go ahead and come on down and begin another thing here. So now that we've looped and it looks like we're going to be able to do this. Let's do sorry guys, problem here. So that you understand, we're doing a -1 down 2 loop, so we have to do it in the same order, otherwise we'll mess things up. That's why Delphi was bitching at me just there. So now that we've got the person we're looking for, we're saying loop through the list view items and see if we can find that person's nickname inside of one of the nickname parameters, right? In the columns, right? If we find the person that we're looking to delete, then we're going to obviously delete them, right? So inside of this, you just simply say self.listview1.items.delete, or items I rather, sorry, dot delete. So delete the person that we looped over's item, and then break out of this loop and we're done. Now, once we're done, we still have to update the connections count and all this and that. So what I'm going to do, guys, let's go ahead and head back to the main form, and we got a little bit of extra coding to do. On the socket, go to on connected, and on that connected, we're going to put increment connected clients, which is just an integer. Now we need to say self.statusbar1.panels1.text equals something. Now I got to go back to look because I always forget. It's clients online and then an integer value. So let's just do clients online and then do plus int to str self.clients connected clients. So we'll just get rid of that, and then it'll be connected clients. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much all you got to do. So copy these two lines because we're going to start messing with this in different places. So on the socket, whenever they disconnect, down here at the bottom of the code before we exit out, paste that and decrement or decrease the number of connected clients and then display them. So that's great. And we've done it in both places that are necessary. Let's give this thing a quick run just to see how it looks. So here it is, and here's the client. So then whenever we do this, we'll do Billy, I'll misspell whatever. So there's Billy. If I close out of Billy, see there's one connected client, Billy. If I close Billy out, he goes away and you have 0 people online. That's fantastic. So what we got to do now is make sure on the server, on the properties of the list view, make sure read only and row select are true. It's really annoying for me, and I'll show you guys why. If we run this, now it's going to look a lot better when you select on different clients. So like when you run this, it'll be an entire row. I'll just put some random stuff in there. But when you click on them, it shows the whole thing selected. Much better looking, right? So now we're going to save our project, head back to the server. So what we've got to do at this point is we have a connection handler completely finished. But what we need to be able to do is send data to everyone and send data to a selected person. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to have to make a couple of procedures to do this. So let's go ahead and double click the send to all to take us to the code of this button, click event procedure for this pop-up menu. And we're going to create a way to send to everyone. So make a variable here. Now what I should be doing, guys, is putting this in another procedure that you just call with like one single line of code, but instead we're going to go through the entirety of it in this button click, because this is just a simple example project and we're not doing something major league. So we're going to make an integer, an I integer for localized looping, and then we're going to make a socket list container, which is a tsocket list. Now, this is red, which means it's not working. So let me explain something to you guys. With NetCom, they have a specific uses statement for a Pascal file in their library that they use called NC Socket List. So at the top of your code, if you get this error where it's red here and it won't work with it, it means you have to go all the way and you have to add an NC Socket List to your uses statement. And if you can spell correctly, that would help too. So it is, I may have literally misspelled the crap out of this. Here, I'll just paste one. It's NC Socket List, just like that, okay? Now you can go back down and you're gonna notice that your code is working because you've included the class library that you need. Okay, so now that we have a couple of things in here, we're going to begin looping through all the connected people that we have and sending a message to those people, which is all of them. So we're going to say socket list is equivalent to form1.serversocket.lines.locklist. So we're locking up the list. The reason we do this, guys, is because if like thousands of people are connecting in, or if things are happening asynchronationally wise, you know, like in millions of different places at the same time, we just want to make sure that from the moment that the human that was controlling the program saw the list, it's going to react appropriately in memory. So like if you had 10 people online at the time you click the button, it's only going to send to those 10 people, okay? The 11th guy or 12th guy or 50th guy that just connected in, he won't get the message because you didn't click it at the exact time that that guy was online, all right? That's basically what I'm trying to explain. So let's do a try statement here. And we're going to do for I is equal to, we're going to do 0 to a high of form1.serversocket.lines. Actually, let's just do dot count. It's the socket list. Sorry, guys. Socket list dot count. That's why we create the socket list to begin with. Okay, so and again, the reason I did it that way, or almost did it that way, is because other libraries allow you to lock onto the socket's count integer like right away, but unfortunately, I guess NetCom doesn't do it. You have to create a socket list to be able to get the integer out of it. Okay, so we're doing for I is equal to 0 to socket list dot count. Let's go ahead and put a -1 here, and then begin this out. So now that we can loop through everyone, we're going to send a message to everyone. So we're going to say form1.serversocket.execute command, and then socket list.lines I 0 and bytes of, and then for this we're just going to put message to all, and then we're not waiting for an asynchronous result. So there we go. That should, in theory, be more than enough to do this. And then at the bottoms, finally, after this is all completed, we want to say, let's just put form1.serversocket.lines.unlocklist. And that should be it. That should literally send a message to everyone. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and get the other one out of the way, and we're finished. So on the pop-up menu, send to selected only. Okay, so let's double click this to go to the code. And what we're going to do is the same thing practically, but with an extra step. I could probably just copy and paste the code, but I'm not going to, because this is tutorial for you guys, so I'm going to do it in its entirety. Make an integer variable for local looping. Make a nickname variable so we can find out who we're trying to send to. And then user data is going to be a T-connected user data. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to loop through we're going to loop through all of our people, find the one that we've selected in the list view, and if their nickname is equal to the person we selected to on the list view, then we're going to send to only that person, okay? So to do this, we're going to say nickname is equivalent to form1.list listview1.selected.subitems 0, which is their nickname that we clicked on the person. So now nickname is literally equal to the person we clicked on the list view. So now we're going to say for I is equal to 0 to a high of, and we're just going to do form1.connectedusers.count -1 begin. And we will simply put user data will be equivalent to t-connected user data and form1.connectedusers.objects I, which is the person we're looping over, right? In that virtualized list. If the user data.nickname is equivalent to nickname, which is what we're checking for anyway, then begin end. So here, now that we're down into this, we can finally send to only that person. Form1.ServerSocket.execute command. We're going to execute the command here. I'm lazy, guys. I literally don't want to type all this line out. It's annoying. So I'm just going to copy from up here, okay? It's the same line of code, except for one thing is going to be different, and that is that we need to change the way that we send inside of the command. So what we'll do is we're going to take out this portion because this is wrong. We don't have a socket list. Instead, what we have is the user data.line of the person we're currently locked onto's active connection line to us. And then we're going to send bytes of whatever we want to that person, which in this case is going to be message just to you. So that is that, and after this is done, I want to make sure to exit, and that should be enough. So guys, I think this is completely finished at this point. Let's go ahead and click run just to give it one final test. So here's the server, and I will run the client, and then I will run the server up here. We'll just do Billy. Let's connect to Billy, or make Billy connect to the server rather. And then if I right-click send to all, he got a message to all, and if I send to selected, it's just to you. And if he disconnects, he goes bye-bye. So let's give it one more final test by pumping out several clients. Let's do 3. Just for shits and gigs, right? So there you have it. There's 1, 2, and 3. So let's go 1, 2, and 3. And let's just connect them out of order just for the heck of it. So they're all connected out of order. Doesn't matter what order they arrive in. Doesn't matter because our system keeps up with everybody. So if I want to send to person number 3 or 1, let's just send to person 2. Right click, send to all. It'll just send a message out to everyone. See, they all 3 got it. So now if I click on this person, which is number 3, I'm going to right click on him. So watch this bottom one down here, guys. I'm going to right click just on him and send to selected. And as you can see, message just to you. The others didn't get it because you're only talking to this guy that you selected. So I'll do number 1 and I'll send to selected and he got it. And then I'll do number 2 and he got it. And then I'll send to all to reset. And there you have it. They're all getting the messages. So now if you close out of guy number 3, guy number 3 goes away. And if you close out of, say, number 2, he goes away, and then number 1 also goes away. There you have it. The absolute perfect server management code for multiple clients with NetCom7 Socket Library. Guys, I really appreciate you staying and watching the whole video. If you liked it, please leave a like and a rating and whatnot. you can subscribe. That'll really help out my channel. I'll be doing a lot more videos like this in the future for you guys. So again, just like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. And if any of you have anything else you would like for me to make, please feel free to comment on the video and ask, and I'll be more than happy to show you different types of coding techniques in Delphi and different libraries and just all kinds of stuff. Anything you guys want, just make a request, and I've got nothing but time. In any case, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.